I'm going to use this coordinate graph to review some examples of how to graph points on a coordinate graph. Let's talk first about these lines that you see on the graph. This dark blue horizontal line horizontally, this is called the x-axis. And we're going to locate all of our x values off of this axis line. The vertical line has a special name. This is the y-axis. And when we are looking for y values, we'll refer to this. Okay. Notice that the increments are all evenly spaced, and you don't have to, count by 1. You can count by 5s or 10s or, any increment that you choose. You just want to be consistent throughout. For this exercise, I'm just going to count them as 1s. Now this point where they meet, where they intersect, this has a special name. This is called the origin. And the way we would represent this point, or any point really, is we want to first write down the x value and then the y value. So this is how we would set it up. The x value is going to be 0, and the y's value is also 0. So the origin is 0, 0. Okay? Now, there are different quadrants within the graph. For instance, this is considered the first quadrant. The second quadrant is over here. Here's the third, and the fourth is over here. And sometimes you're asked about the different quadrants, like where a point is located, and you have to identify the quadrant. But notice it kind of goes in a counterclockwise fashion, the way it's labeled. Okay, let's go ahead and plot some points. And remember when I talked about this origin, this xy? That's how we're going to plot our other points. So let's say that we have a, let me get a piece of paper. Let's say we have 3, 6. Okay, that 3 again is our x value, and the 6 is the y value. So if this is my x-axis, and notice that it goes in both directions, so this would be all positive numbers, and going to the left would all be negative. Same with my y values. Everything going up past the origin would be positive, and all of these numbers would be negative numbers. So when we're locating a point, it's important not only to know the numbers, but it's also important to identify the signs. And in this case, both numbers have no sign, so we can assume those are positive numbers. So positive 3, positive 6. Now when we're trying to plot a point, we want to start with the x. So that's the horizontal line, or the x-axis. And because this is a positive 3, I'm going to count out 3 to the right. So 1, 2, 3. And then I want to go up 6. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, just review, I went across 3, and then from this point I'm going up 6. And then normally once we plot a point, we would write the coordinate point, 3, 6. Okay, let's try another one. Let's say we have 8, 2. Again, the 8 is the x value, the 2 is the y value. So I'm going to count out 8, and oftentimes these are labeled, but I'm going to just count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then from this point I'm going up 2, because that's a positive 2, 1, 2. And then I'm going to write parentheses, or open parentheses, 8, comma, 2, close parentheses. Now notice these 2 points were in quadrant 1. And notice that the x values were positive and the y values were positive. And that's going to be the case for all points in quadrant 1. You're going to have a positive x and a positive y. Let's look at quadrant 2 and see if we can see a pattern here. So for quadrant 2, let's say we have -7 and +4. Now notice we're going to start with the x's, and if we're focusing on quadrant 2, all of our x's are going to be negative, and that's why we have a negative x here. But everything in here is going to also have our y values, but our y values, notice, are also going to be, or are going continue to be positive numbers, just like quadrant 1. So this will be a positive y. So let's go ahead and plot -7, +4. So we're going to count in this direction to the left 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going up 4 because it's a +4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we go ahead and write that out, -7, comma 4. Okay, let's try another. Let's do -1, +8. Again, we start with the x, 1, and then we're going to go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -1, +8. So you can see that quadrant 2, the x value is a negative, the y value is a positive. Now I'm going to move this down. Let's do a couple in the third quadrant. Let's say we have, well, first let's look at the quadrant. This third quadrant, we're still going to have negative x values, but we're going to also have negative y values. So if we have -5, -5, we should be able to plot those points in the third quadrant. So again, I'm going to start with my x. This is my y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down 5, because I'm going to be in the negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5, comma, -5. And let's do one more in that quadrant. Let's say we have -6, -7. So I'm going to go across 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then down 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -6, -7. And so you can see all the points in quadrant 3 are going to be -x, -y. And then the last quadrant, quadrant 4, notice that our x values are going to be positive, but the y values are going to be negative. So positive, negative. We should see those. So let's go ahead and do a couple. Let me find a different color. Let's do pink. Let's say we have 4, negative 6. So the 4's are x, the negative 6 is the y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, negative 6. And let's do one more. Let's say we have 8, negative 3. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. 8, negative 3. So that's pretty much, you know, how to plot the points, and also hopefully you get an idea of the type of coordinate points that you're going to have within each quadrant. Now, let me go ahead and erase these. I'm going to plot some points, and then I'm going to have you write down the coordinate points. So let me grab a tissue here real quick, and actually I'm going to erase everything. I'll go ahead and rewrite the x-axis. So this is the x-axis here. I'll put x, and then this is y. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and color or make some dots. And I'll label them A, B, and C, and D. So go ahead and take a minute or pause the video, and then when you're ready, go ahead and start up again. Okay, let's go ahead and see what you got. To find a point, we're going to kind of go backwards. We know it needs to be an x, comma, y form. So we're going to go across and then up. So to get to this point, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be 5, 5. For B, notice we're going to the negative, so our x is going to be a negative, but our y value will be a positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's negative 11, 1, 2. So positive 2. For the C value, our x is going to be negative, and so is our y. Notice we're just going across 1, so that'd be negative 1. But we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that'd be negative 6. Negative 1, comma, negative 6. And for D, we're going to have a positive x value, but a negative y value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So negative 6. Now, what happens if you get something like this? Notice that the point is on the x-axis. Let's go ahead and write a coordinate point for this point here. Our x value is going to be 1, 2, 3, so 3. The y value is going to be 0. This would be 1, this would be -1. But right on the line is going to be 0. So 3, 0. Same with if I had it in this section here. Let's say I have it here. My point is on the x-axis. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. So that's -8. But the y value is going to be 0 because this is 1, this is -1. So -8, 0. We can do the same thing with the y-axis. We could put plot points on the y-axis. Say I have a point there. The x value is going to be 0 because this is 0. This would be 1, this would be -1, but it's still in line with the 0. My y value is a +1. I could have another point down here. Again, the x value is going to be 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -8 would be the y value. So we'll play around with this some more in class, and if you have questions, please ask.